Your Insta profile says that you help people building wealth and secure finance. So I'm sure my audience would love to know how you help people in building finance, building wealth. So what is the basic eligibility to secure finance in Australia? Like for example, international students.
They only have $5,000 in saving. That's not going to do anything. So you need to at least save 5%, or
Yeah.
for visa holders, at least save 20%. Good news is people on visa, they can apply for home loan. It depends on their visa class. For those follow my Instagram, I always say if you're ready to buy, just buy it. Like, don't wait for the perfect house. Don't wait for the perfect moment to buy.
Suggestions for the migrants or international students, how they can actually save up more money for their house deposits. What are the ways?
You are asking the right person, because I'm a queen of savings.
Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Smart Migrant Academy. Today we have a special guest, Maggie. Thank you so much, Maggie, for coming on the podcast.
You're welcome. I am so pleased to be on your podcast.
Right. So we're going to discuss about your different phases in your life, and first we're going to talk about the most important one. So your Insta profile says that you help people building wealth and secure finance. So I'm sure my audience would love to know how you help people in building finance, building wealth, sorry, and secure finance.
Yeah, so first of all, in Australia, as most of you guys will know, it's very focused on tax and wealth generation. So in my role, I am a tax accountant and I'm also a mortgage broker. So in combined knowledge with tax and mortgage broking, I will be able to tap into people finance and help them to understand how they can achieve their property dream, and then how they help them to minimize their tax as well. So
Right. So first we'll start with the basic. So what is the basic eligibility to secure finance in Australia? Like for example, international students or any migrants on visa, if they want to secure any sort of finance for car or home, so from any private lenders or anyone. So what is the basic eligibility?
yeah, so for your podcast, because I understand that you're targeting immigrant people and people new to Australia. So good news is people on visa,
Yes.
they can apply for home loan. It depends on their visa class. So I won't go through with the class detail. Different visa got different numbers, but if they are interested, feel free to reach out to you or reach out to me, so we can go from there. But good news is some of the visa holders, they can apply for the home loan in Australia, but the downside is they can't access with the government first home owner schemes and things like that. So they must have a 20% deposit or more in order to secure a
Right.
mortgage. So if they have the deposit and they are willing to pay the stamp duty as well, then we can look into how they can secure the finance. So that is for people who have the visa, who are not permanent residency or citizen. So for people who are already permanent residents or citizen, then they can tap into the government scheme, which is the guaranteeing scheme, the stamp duty without exemption. So we can go through that. So the good thing with permanent residents or citizen, they could potentially borrow up to 95%. So all they need is a 5% deposit. So that is the difference with people who is not permanent resident, and permanent resident is if they're not permanent resident, they will just need more cash to come into the transaction to get the finance.
Right. Right. But that's a good news that even visa holder can apply for home loan. But when applying for the loan, so what sort of basic documents they need? They must, like the essential documents.
So the essential document, first of all, need to understand what is the essential requirement from the bank. So essential requirement from the bank is their income,
Right.
expenses, asset, and liability. So income, for example, if you have pay slip, stable income, that is a good starting point. Preferably will be permanent part-time or permanent full-time. If they're casual worker working longer than 6 months, we can look into that as well. Self-employed, we can look into self-employed, and
Right.
obviously with self-employed they have got different scenarios as well. Reach out to me if you have any questions. Income, expenses, asset and liability. So assets, the main thing is, have you got enough savings? So people sometimes come to me
Right.
saying they want to have a finance, but they only have $5,000 in saving. That's not going to do anything. So you need to at least save 5%, or
Yeah.
for visa holders, at least save 20%. So if you have saving, even if you don't have liability, that's fine. So if you have saving, that's good enough to go. So basically, it's your employment and the assets position. With liability, preferably if you're going through a home loan application, a minimum credit card, minimum car loans or personal loans. It will be better if you have no credit card, no loans. So if you still have loans, that's fine. We can work on that. So yeah, minimal liability, bigger asset, and good income.
Right, right. So basically, it's more of your employment documents like pay slips or contract,
Correct.
and like if you have any loans, then I mean it's suggested not to have loans because it's going to decrease your borrowing power.
Correct. Yes. So you have done some homework
Yeah.
yourself. So yes, that's good. Yeah. If you have loans yourself, so car loan, personal loan, credit card, it will reduce your borrowing capacity.
Mhm.
So that's why I said
Right.
preferably have no debt at all. I do have some people every now and then come to me because they see some other people Instagram, but they don't realize that those Instagram are for United States. So some people come to me saying, "Oh, I heard that it's important to have a credit card to build up your credit report." That is absolutely not true in Australia.
Yeah.
So even if you don't have any credit card, you can still do a home loan.
Right. But usually, like suppose my audience, they're mostly international students or migrants, and they usually have their own investments or portfolio sitting in their home country, like any property or any investment, like in stocks or anything. So does that count as a matter of savings or anything? Does it come into consideration when you're applying for home loan or any sort of loans?
Not really for overseas assets, like the bank in Australia won't you like we can declare it, but at the end of the day they will ask, okay, so how much cash have you got in your bank account to complete the transaction to buy any home in Australia? Unless if we so I do have a couple of clients that they selling some houses in UK or US or China, and so if they got a sale contract, they know that they have got some cash coming in, that is still considerable as well. But if they have some fixed asset overseas that they can't utilize, no, it's not that
Yeah.
important.
Right, right. So it means you really need to focus on the investment or the cash savings in Australia.
Correct.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. Right. And so usually the migrants or anyone who has like for an average has 70K package on an average, and some have 15K, let's say 15 or 20K of deposit. So do you think they should in like save more for the big house, or they just step into the housing market by buying an apartment or unit or anything?
Well, for those follow my Instagram, I always say if you're ready to buy, just buy it. Like, don't wait for the perfect house. Don't wait for the perfect moment to buy. If your capacity is enough to buy an apartment or unit or townhouses, just go for it. Don't
Mm-hmm.
wait and save for a bigger deposit to buy a house because you just want to get a house. Because the reality is that the longer you
Right.
wait, the house price will go up, and you'll just keep saving, and you just keep tracking with this loop. So my strategy is, if you are ready to go, for example, if you have got stable employment, you got saving, reach out to your mortgage broker and then find out your borrowing capacity and go from there, starting from something small,
Mhm.
whatever you can get. And who knows, maybe 2 3 years later the house value goes up, you can use this house equity to buy another house, or when the house value goes up, you can sell the house, got bigger
Yeah.
money, and then buy your dream house. So always start from something small,
Right.
whatever you can. Yeah.
Yeah, because why I'm asking this, because some people say that you shouldn't buy unit or apartment because it's not going to build your wealth. But again, those are the really like type of house or the investment that come into your budget. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
wondering whether someone should go for it
It's a
or
bit
not.
hard. It's a bit hard right now for single incomes and single saving to buy a house right now. So you are based in
Yeah,
Tassie. I am based in Melbourne, and Melbourne is crazy as well. So it's a bit hard.
yes.
That's why, yeah. So but that's
Mhm.
true. So 50-50. You shouldn't buy a high rise apartment. So any apartment or unit that is very complex, got a lot of unit or apartment stacking up, those sort of area or location you should be walking away from. But for example, for example in Melbourne, for example, if you're looking for some unit or apartment that is a bit lower density, for example, somewhere in St
Mhm.
Kilda, for example, Richmond, South Yarra, those area, then it is good to look into, because in that area itself, the capital growth is there, not like in the city, because in the cities they are like very
Right.
high rise and everything. So for if you're looking at unit or apartment, you should be we're looking at the low density area. So for example, in Melbourne will be Richmond,
Right.
South Yarra, Windsor. In Adelaide will be somewhere in like down south, maybe in Unley, in Mitcham,
Mhm.
those sort of area, rather than in CBD.
Okay. Cool. Right, that's a really good information. Right, so next we'll talk about, like, as you're a tax accountant as well. So you might be aware that we have so many accountants in Australia, because I believe 5 to 6 years ago they made it really easy for the accountants to get the PR, but now it's like very difficult even to get the PR and to secure a job. So, what suggestion would you have for people out there who are trying to get a job, or how did you find a job as an accountant earlier?
Yes, so I was a lucky one. I got my permanent residence because I had
Mhm.
an accountant background and I got an accountant job
Yeah.
once I graduate. So um, what
Mhm.
my suggestions will be. So when I was in uni, I was a proactive one. If you look into my LinkedIn, I used to be student ambassadors, and I do volunteer at work, at uni, and also I do a lot of networking events as well at uni. So when you go to networking events or being student ambassadors, it won't open any opportunity for you immediately, but it will definitely boost your confidence, and you
Mhm.
will know more people and ask them more questions, how
Mhm.
you get into this role, what is the essential things they think they is good for the market. So I remember when I was networking, when I was a uni student, when I was networking, a lot of people telling me that as an accountant, that's a that just a accountancy is a very wide and broad sort of professional. So they've got the auditing, they've got tax, they've got management
Mhm.
accountant, they've got financial accountant. And
Yeah.
I remember in one of the networking events, and one of the persons told me, so he is a business owner, but he said, with all the accountancy, tax accountants is very demanding. So if there's anything that you want to tap into or focus or
Yeah.
specialize into, you should be specialized in tax. That is the reason why I focus in tax. And
Right.
essentially, once I graduate, I found a tax accountant role. So, well, it depends on your networking and your connection. But I would say when you were students, just go out there. Don't hang out with your comfort zone and comfort group. Just go and networking. Just join all the events and know as much as people as possible. And then and like this is a very this is a crusade, but get a part-time job. Because for some students that I know,
Yes.
for some classmates that I know, they don't work. They just focus on studying. They just study. But if you're not finding a part-time job,
Yes.
you're not working. You don't have work experience, and you don't have the confidence in speaking to
Yes.
people, and you don't know the Australian culture. So get a job,
Yeah,
do
exactly.
networking, and go from there.
Yes, because working in Australia, like even working in a restaurant or anywhere, it's not necessary that it's just about the money. It's more about building the connections, like
Correct.
understanding the Australian culture, and it's like getting the confidence to speak to people, and because it's eventually going to help you when you are sitting in front of like the interviewee, because they're going
Yes.
to ask like, what are you doing? And like I mean, they're going to judge on the basis of how you talk. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
not only about the money. Just go out, talk to people, start doing network. But like, what are the ways to do networking, as you mentioned? So and you worked as a student ambassador as well. So what is student ambassador and how it helps to build networks?
Yeah, so I did two student ambassadors. So I did I did a CPA student ambassadors and also University of Adelaide student ambassadors. So those student ambassadors
Hmm.
allow me to attend so many events where the unit hosts or the CPA hosts. So with those events, you will be able to talk to business owners, potential HR, recruiter, and also other people as well. So student ambassadors really is to take on board with what you represent and then just to talk to people. I remember when I was CPA student ambassadors, we work in a function where the CPA hosts, and in that function they have got a lot of accounting firms
Hmm.
in the events to hire people as well. So
Right.
as a student ambassadors, we represent CPA and then we just talk to them and just to tell them what we're doing, what CPA is doing, and get notes of other accounting firm, what are they hiding and what are their requirements as well. So so that's just a networking opportunity for student ambassadors.
Right, right. It sounds interesting. So I believe it's a really good way to build some networks and actually get the insights of the company,
Yes.
or let's say industry. So does it deal with the prospective migrants, as in does student ambassador connect with the migrants or international students who are planning to move to particular university, or it's just for the one who is already in the country?
So student ambassadors is open to every students in unit. So it doesn't matter if you're
Mm-hmm.
coming from an international background or or
Mm-hmm.
master, but obviously you need to go through the interview process, and you also need to give the the organizer your resume, and then they will assess it in the fair level. So they won't just pick and choose domestic people. They will also choose international students. So which I'm one of the example. So but obviously you have to be
Mm-hmm.
really confident in the interview because you're also competing the opportunity with other local students as well.
Yeah. Right, right. And as a tax accountant, like what you suggest to migrants or international, they can actually save money, or like how they can get the maximum, tax return. I believe that's the tax refund. I guess that's it, two different questions. But basically, just to suggestions for the migrants or international students, how they can actually save up more money for their house deposits. What are the ways?
You are asking the right person because I'm a queen of savings. I save a lot. So when I was an international student, I know that it was not easy because we need to pay rent, we need to pay for all the utility
Yeah.
and all the expenses as well. Well, some people they have got good like rich family, which is not the case now. So my suggestion is when I was saving money, I don't go on traveling at all. Like I haven't went back home for 3-4 years until I graduate. and I just keep doing part-time jobs. I cook at home, and I don't order like takeout or anything like that. Nowadays, it's very easy to order all like Uber Eat and things like that. But 10 years ago, it was not the case, and which is
Yeah.
good because I forced myself to, cook at home. But even now, don't get takeout all the time. Every now and then, celebration or occasionally, that's fine. Cook at home and always find the bargains. And it is going to be hard for the first 3-4 years if
Yeah.
you keep saving for buying a house, for example. If you have got a goal in buying a house, but after 3-4 years, once you get into the house, that is another level of saving for you, because after that you need to pay your mortgage, and so you have got a fixed commitment as well. So having a saving
Yeah.
is not it's not a penalty to you. It's really setting you a good habit for you to have a good home ownership sort of moving forward, because otherwise you will find quite hard once you get into the home ownership and you got mortgage and everything on your shoulder.
Yeah. Yeah, yep. No, I totally agree because what's usually the mindset of international students or migrants is when they land to Australia or any other foreign country, they feel independent and they feel like now they're on their own, so they can just earn, chill, relax. I mean, obviously they can. I mean, they should, but it's just like they need at the same time they need to maintain the balance as well. It's like they
Correct.
just need to ensure that they are having the salary goes into the savings account as well as on the expenditure account. Like they should
Yes.
balance it out.
Yeah, I have seen a lot of international students because they sort of lose faith, or I'm not sure will I stay in Australia, or I'm not sure will I get the job, or will I even be able to buy a house, and they just earn and spend. So if this is your lifestyle that you want to maintain, that's good. But if you want to have a goal, something to achieve down the track, it's better for you to establish a saving
Yeah.
habit as early as possible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really true. Right, perfect. I believe we have covered most of the part. And like before we end this, what suggestions or tips you have for international students or migrants who are planning to move?
Planning to stay in Australia or planning to buy a house?
Yeah,
Right.
both actually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would say reach out to as much as professionals as possible. So don't do it all on your own. Starting from, if you're looking to immigrant in Australia, don't just do Google search. Engage with an immigrant lawyer or immigrant agent. When you do tax, engage with an
Yeah,
accountant as
yeah.
early as possible, because the accountant will be able to educate you how you can maximize your tax refunds and so forth. And if you need to go
Mm.
through a home loan, use a mortgage broker. Don't always just do Google search, because there are so many information out there. And all the time I receive a lot of new people coming and ask me questions, and all based on Google search. And sometimes they not realize that it's actually for US informations, or different informations, and they just
Mm.
get confused. So
Mm.
the reason why I think it's very important to reach out to professional as early as possible is that will minimize your frustrations and will minimize your confusions. So for some people that they really need to take the action,
Yeah,
sometimes they get the confusion and frustration, and they will stop what happening. So for example, if they want to buy a house, they do a
yeah,
Google search, and they think that it's impossible, and they stop. But they don't know the real scenario.
yeah,
Maybe they are position, but because they do all this search and make them confused, and they're not doing anything. So if you are in different stage, reach out to different professionals and to get as much as information from those professionals as possible. So
Hmm. That's interesting. That's really good tip. Perfect.
yeah, and then
Thank you.
also I have got one,
Yeah, yeah.
and then also I have got one tips as well, because as in our culture, we have got a big family, like uncle, auntie, cousins, all different friends.
Yeah.
So it's good that sometimes you ask your friends for opinion, But sometimes the friends don't know your real circumstances, or sometimes you don't know the friend's real
Yeah.
circumstances. So, yeah,
Yeah.
if you ask your friends, that's fine, but still, after reaching out your friends and family, still talk to a professional. It will be better for clarity.
No, I totally agree with this point because, in examples, similarly in our culture, we usually talk with friends and families, and they're like, "Oh, my friend has done this, so you can do that," but you don't really understand. He or she might have a different scenario than yours, so you really
Correct.
need to understand and talk to a professional, because they'll be the one who'll be assessing your personal information and give you the
Correct.
customized advice.
Yes, yes, correct. So one of the example is I have got a client. So he doesn't have much savings. So after he purchased the house, he has got just few $1,000, and so he keep telling me that he need an offset account, and in their mortgage. So I asked him, why you need an offset account? You need to pay extra annual fee for this offset account, but you don't have savings. So the offset account is not working for you. And he keeps telling me that because my friends telling me that. My friends telling me that. And so I was like, okay, so I still set it up for him because I don't want to argue. So I still setting up for him. And a
Yeah.
year down the track, when we do the review of their mortgage, and I ask him, so how's the offset account working for you? And he admitted, oh, I'm paying this extra $395 and just not working. And I'm just like, I told you, like, why you need an offset account. So
Yeah.
it's one of the example. I've got so many examples
Yeah.
but that's one of the common one.
Yeah, no, no, I totally agree with you. That's why you need to talk to professional. That's why you need to talk to Maggie.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted you to be on the podcast to share your information and share the reality actually, which you did. Thank you so much again for all the information and time. And I believe audience would going to love this with all the detailed information that you shared. But again, if you still have any questions, then you can comment down below and you can reach out to Maggie on the Instagram profile as well. I'll put down the username or handle in the description.
Thank you so much for having me, DJ Cash.
No worries. Thank you. Bye bye.
See ya. Bye.